Hey everyone! So, Sandrone's situation has been an absolute roller coaster. And if you've been following the leaks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We went from she's definitely not playable in 6.x to actually she might be one of the most important characters in nod-krai in the span of a few weeks. In this video, let's sit down and go through every single leak we have about Sandrone as a playable character, because there's way more information now. Save up to 25% on Genesis crystals at lootbar.gg. To celebrate Genshin's anniversary, you can grab the all-in-one pack and the 6,480 Genesis crystals pack, normally $100 in-game, for just $72 on Lootbar. That's 81 pulls, almost guaranteeing you a 5-star for your account while saving you $28. The process is super simple. Just enter your UID, select your server, and receive your crystals in under a minute. No password needed. Lootbar uses official recharge channels, has hundreds of 5-star reviews, and partnerships with several big content creators that you probably know, so everything is completely safe. Lootbar supports PlayStation 5 and Xbox top-ups. Also, don't forget that the double bonus for your first purchase on each pack has been reset. Click the link in the description to claim your extra discount. New users get an extra 10% discount, while returning users get 5%. Starting from the beginning, Sandrone made her first actual in-game appearance during the version 6.0 Archon Quest. She shows up at the Adventurers Guild in nod-krai, which immediately got people talking because up until that point, we'd only seen her in the Winter Nights Lazo trailer. That appearance alone wasn't confirmation of playability, but it was significant. Hoyoverse doesn't just throw Harbingers into story content without a plan, and having her appear this early in the nod-krai cycle suggested they were building towards something. The leak timeline itself has been chaotic. Back in July, we had leaks stating definitively that Sandrone would not be playable during 6.x. The community was pretty disappointed because everyone wanted her playable, but that leak seemed solid at the time. Fast forward to late August, and suddenly we're hearing the complete opposite. Multiple leak channels started reporting that Sandrone would actually be playable, with some sources claiming she'd release in version 6.7 alongside Alice. That contradiction alone shows how much internal development can shift, and why taking any single leak as absolute truth is risky. The most recent and arguably most credible leak came in late September, right after nod-krai launched. This is the one that's gotten everyone hyped. According to leakers citing insider information, Sandrone is now expected to release in the later half of the 6.x cycle as what they're calling a main focus character. That terminology is specific and important. It's comparing her to characters like Castariche and Fainon from Honkai Star Rail, which for Genshin players translates to someone on the level of Neuvillette or Arlecchino. We're talking full cinematic treatment, dedicated story quests, heavy marketing push, all of that. The same leak that mentioned her being a main focus character also stated that her reaction type would be Lunar Crystallize. Crystallize has been Gio's only reaction since launch, and it's widely considered the weakest mechanic in the game. You pick up a shard, you get a shield, that's it. Compare that to Vaporize doubling your damage or Hyperbloom deleting entire waves of enemies, and Crystallize just doesn't compete. So when leaks mentioned a Lunar variant, people immediately started speculating about what Lunar Crystallize would do. The fact that it's called Crystallize at all confirms one crucial detail. Sandrone has to be Gio. Crystallize doesn't exist without Gio. That's how the elemental system works. This would make her the first major Gio DPS since Xilonen in version 5.1. And Gio mains have been desperate for something that actually makes the element competitive. We saw this exact pattern with Lunar Bloom. It didn't suddenly make Bloom better for older Dendro units. It just created a variant that worked specifically for Loma and Nefer. The concern is that Lunar Crystallize will follow the same logic, where Sandrone gets a powerful version of the reaction, but characters like Itto and Navia are still stuck with the old, underwhelming version. I'm really curious about how Lunar Crystallize might actually function. One popular theory is that it converts crystallized shards into offensive power instead of purely defensive shields. Imagine picking up a shard, and instead of just getting protection, it buffs your attack, or adds elemental damage to your hits. We saw Hoyoverse do something similar with Navia, where Crystallize finally mattered because it fed directly into her bullet mechanic and damage output. So there's precedent for making this reaction relevant if they tie it into a character's kit properly. The community reaction to all of this has been split. Some people are genuinely hyped because Sandrone is a Harbinger, and every playable Harbinger so far has been premium quality with strong kits and major story integration. Others are skeptical because the leaks have been so contradictory, and taking anything as confirmed before we see actual beta footage feels premature. Tell me in comments, what do you think? Are you believing in these leaks? Or are you going to believe only when you see? If these leaks hold up, Sandrone would be joining nod-krai's roster alongside other massive names like Columbina, who's rumored for version 6.3, and potentially Alice, Varka, and others later in the cycle. That's an incredibly stacked lineup, and the fact that Sandrone is reportedly being positioned as a main focus character among all those legacy names is significant. It suggests Hoyoverse sees her as more than just another Harbinger slot to fill. They want her to be a defining character for this region. So where does this leave us? We have strong indications that Sandrone will be playable in the later half of 6.x. We have leaks claiming she'll be a main focus character with Lunar Crystallize mechanics. We have confirmation that she's already appeared in story content and been featured in promotional material. What we don't have is a specific patch number, concrete details about her kit beyond the Lunar Crystallize mention, or official confirmation from Hoyoverse. Everything is still in leak territory, and until we see beta footage or an official announcement, it's all speculation based on insider information. Personally, I think there's real potential here if they execute it properly. Geo has been starving for an update that makes the element competitive, and a Harbinger with a new reaction variant and main focus treatment could genuinely deliver that. But I'm keeping my expectations measured because we've been through this before with leaks that sounded incredible and didn't pan out exactly as described. The contradictions in the timeline alone show that plans change during development. If Lunar Crystallize turns out to be more than just a cosmetic rebrand and actually makes the reaction relevant, that would be huge not just for Sandrone, but for Geo as a whole. But I'm not counting on it until we see actual gameplay. What's your take on all this? Do you think Sandrone will actually get the main focus treatment, or are we overhyping based on incomplete information? And more importantly, do you think Lunar Crystallize can actually save Geo? Or is it just going to be another self-contained mechanic that doesn't help the rest of the element? Drop your thoughts in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.